how long have you been working in the construction industry?
Since I was 15 years old.
What did you do as the first thing?
Well, I'm a plant mechanic up in trading.
Yep.
Yeah, so I worked as a plant mechanic up until I was 30 and then moved into sales.
What companies did you work for as a mechanic?
Lots. So I've had a number of jobs, but worked for two major construction companies or suppliers, being Sumitomo was one and then Volvo was the other. I did 4 years of each of them. And then prior to that, my apprenticeship and worked on trucks and boats and lots of things. So had a good apprenticeship.
So did you grow up fixing things?
Sort of, kind of, yeah and no. Yeah, there was always something in the garage. Yeah, it wasn't a hobby though. There was other things to do besides fixing things. It wasn't a passion, it was something I did.
And tell me, how long have you been in equipment sales? So you left being a plant mechanic and then got into sales? Was it trading to excavators and stuff? Is that what you're saying?
So I did after field service. I did 3 years at quarry working for a contractor. And then the weather and everything else got to me, so I pursued a career in sales. So yeah, 30 years this year.
And how has it positioned you, like how did it benefit you being a plant mechanic to be able to sell excavators and equipment like that?
Just understanding, just knowing and being able to think about things and how things work and stuff like that. So yeah, it does benefit. You can, and doing handovers and things like that, because you can understand it, it helps along as well. So it's probably fortunate too, I spent a bit of time operating, so it's one of those things as well. So you get to understand what's going on.
So you've got three aspects there really. You know how to fix them, you know how to operate them, and you know how to sell them.
Well, potentially.
Yeah. What's your favourite one of all those three?
I like sales.
Yep.
Yeah, I like sales. I like dealing with people. I think that's what keeps you motivated. It's the customers and the people you deal with keeps you opening the door in the car in the mornings. I think it's pretty important.
Very nice. And these days, what type of machines do you spend most of your time around? Is it excavators? Is it loaders? Is it something else?
Mainly excavators now. Yeah, it's excavators and skid steers are the two primary products that we sell. But fortunately enough, in the branch wares and with the customer base that I've got, we get involved in, or I get involved in ag as well. So it's quite nice to have that diversity. But predominantly excavators and skid steers.
And how have you seen the technology change over your career? I mean, it must have been very different when you started as a plant mechanic, as an apprentice, to what it is today with electronics and computers.
Yeah, it has changed. The day of fixing something on the side of the road is sort of gone. You need a computer with most things now. So that certainly has changed it. Pollution control has changed it as well. That's one of the things that's in the advances with technology. But they're all fixable. They're all pretty much basically the same.
Are they much different these days than they were back in the day, so to speak?
Well, they were, because everything was mechanical back then. Now it's all electronic. So, fuel pumps were mechanical, everything else was mechanical. So now it's electronic fuel injection, common rail. So, different systems. Look, an engine's an engine. Nothing's changed within the ups and downs of an engine. It's just the bolt-ons around it that's changed.
Yeah, nice. And what would you say that the biggest differences are today from 5 or 10 years ago in the recent past?
Well, electronics and sensors and stuff's coming into it more so than anything else, and trying to meet emission targets and things, I think has come a long way, or had a large impact on machinery. That, by horsepower changing, introduction of DPFs, AdBlue, pulling horsepower back on models to meet emission targets. And then by doing that, they've had to also tweak hydraulics to make them work more efficiently as well. So there's lots and lots of little things in them. Digressing a little bit, Kubota still has a range of machinery that's still very, very basic, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Makes it nice and easy for the operators, there's all the maintainers and that as well.
It does, yeah, very much.
As you look forward to the future of machinery, I continuously see content out there about robotics and automation. Do you think that's ever going to be something that's going to take off here in Australia?
Yeah, funnily enough, I've had a couple of questions about robotics and automation in the last little while. For a particular industry, the guys want to be able to operate the machines remote, and it can be done, but currently it's expensive, depending on the model you're talking about. But that is there; it exists already. It's been around for a long time. 20 years ago, I was dealing with a company that were doing it in Wollongong. So, it's there. The technology's been there.
And what do you think? What are your thoughts around the electrification of machines? They're traditionally running on diesel and operate reliably with that, and you can get diesel anywhere, of course. But do you ever think it will be something that's electric? Because that's something that seems to be perpetuated in social media and out there in the media. It seems to be a good news story. But whenever I look at it, I think there's no chance that that's ever going to happen in Australia. What are your thoughts?
There already is machines that are electric. There is brands out there that have an electric, and there is that pursuit from people that want the electric. I'll bury myself if I comment too hard on that, so I'll just leave that one alone. There is a place for it, and there's not a place for it. So
Something that customers are often surprised that you already know about.
probably that I'm a mechanic. I think a lot of people don't know. I don't broadcast it too much. Yeah, so I think people are surprised that I'm a mechanic.
What mistakes do you see people make before they're speaking to someone like yourself? People are trying to educate themselves and do the research and do the homework, especially newbies and first-time buyers. What are some of the mistakes that they're making that you see?
People think that I'm a consumer as well, so I also do my own research. So, people forget that just because you're a salesman that you don't have to live life as well. So, I do my own research on things. Things I think is there's a preconception, like they'll do all their research and they'll have everything down sorted, and then their mate will say, oh, I bought one of these, it's really good. Or they'll just go by the internet only and look at reviews and things. But sometimes what the specifications actually say are completely different how it operates. And I know with the products we sell, they operate different to the specifications. There's a whole bunch of stuff behind it. And when you get your bum in the seat, that's really when you're doing it. And that's probably the hardest thing is you've got to get the people in the seat.
So when folks come in after they've done their research, what's the first thing that you're trying to understand about what their needs are? How do you identify what the most important thing is for them?
What they want to do with it, really. So it's no good with a guy that owns a farm buying a 1.5 tonner if he wants to bush trees over. So, that's not practical. So you've got to look at what they want to do with it. So that's probably the best way I can describe that. If he's going to do irrigation only, just small irrigation work, happy days, no worries. The 1.5 will do every day of the week, but it's when they get into that clearing, etc., etc. So that's a good example, I think, of a simple way of saying what they want.
Do you think that people think that the machines are a one-trick pony and they need multiple tools because they might be doing multiple things without realizing that the machines that we sell can do multiple things?
Oh, there's a heap of bolt-on stuff for machinery now, more than ever. You name it, it's going to be bolted on or pinned on or whatever. Attachments it's massive. So if you've got a job to do, there'll be someone will have something that can do that job for you, whether it be us or something else. There's always an attachment, but predominantly it's a bucket.
Nice. Well, what do you think customers should be asking more of before they buy a machine?
About the build quality, I think, is a big thing. Where it's made, little extra benefits and things.
What matters most to you, Steve, when you're helping somebody to choose the right equipment?
Communication back. Tell me what you want. Like it's that two-way communication is very important. If I don't get that, it's very hard. You need someone to say, well, I don't think that's going to be right, or it is going to be right, and then we can work with you then, because there's no good selling you a 1.5 tonner, as I said, if you're going to clear trees on a farm. That's useless. So tell me what you want, and then we'll work with you. It could be a weight restriction. You might only have a 2-ton truck. Well, buying a 5 tonner is still no good to you because you can't cart it around. Future goals, what you want, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things in that, and I think communication is big.
Very nice. Well, Steve, we covered a lot of ground there and asked you a lot of random questions. Thanks for being so forthcoming. Thanks so much, mate.
You're welcome.